Hi, folks. So for this week's video, um, I'm going to talk about something that seems quite obvious, but often gets overlooked with people who are trying to lose weight and get into great shape. And that's the fact that uh, for vast majority of people, when I've worked with them, the goal is a long-term sustainable result. That's what they're looking for. Now that seems obvious, but it's actually so put aside one side if somebody's looking for a short-term goal, okay, no problem. Um, but even people who you talk about it from the point of view of a long-term result, um, find that they easily forget that that's the case, and they become focused very much on quick results. They want to know if things are working. They want to see evidence. They're really looking for reassurance. They're looking for the scales to move. They want to notice their clothes are different. They want to hear comments from their friends. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with any of that. And these things can feel great. The challenge comes when you make them the key measurements of your progress. Because when you do that, you can miss something that's taking place that's really important. And the analogy I use with this is someone's trying to build their dream house. And so they buy land, um, they recruit the architects, they hire the builders, they have plans drawn up, and they're kind of set up, and then the builders arrive. And what happens initially is the builders spend the time digging holes, pouring concrete into the ground. And if you walked past the site early on in those days, for most people, that doesn't look impressive. In fact, it might look like nothing's happening much at all. You certainly wouldn't walk past and go, wow, these foundations are incredible. See, people don't admire the foundations. They admire the finished house. They admire the kitchen, the garden, the view, all the beautiful rooms. Yet the important thing to remember is that without those foundations, none of these beautiful things would exist. It wouldn't function. Everything depends on what was built underneath. Now, weight loss, sustainable weight loss, long-term results are the same. Now, most traditional diets focus on the visible parts of the house. And by that, I mean things like losing weight quickly, getting a result. And they provide strict rules, things you can and cannot do. They focus on short-term behaviors. What they don't tend to address is what sits underneath all of that. And it's that stuff that makes the big difference. It's the things like your relationship with food. In fact, go further, your relationship with yourself. Um, Things like understanding cravings, your ability to recover from setbacks, building your confidence, more importantly than that, building self-trust. Even really generally, the way you think about health and where weight loss and being in shape fits into that, they're all the foundations. And this is what LightMinds is about. You see, the foundations, when you're building a house, are often invisible. You don't see them. And the same thing can happen on your weight loss journey. You know, you might go a week and only lose a pound, or a week where the scales barely move at all. And you might have a week where you're wondering whether anything is changing. But underneath the surface, something important is happening. That's if you're looking at it this way. You might find you're beginning to think about food less often. You might be negotiating with yourself less, in those internal conflicts that we have. You might recover much more quickly when you're off plan. You don't turn one difficult moment into a whole collapse of the day. You could be making different healthy choices more naturally. And you begin to feel this trust in yourself a little more, bit by bit. And these changes are easy to miss because they don't necessarily show up on the scale straight away. And you're not looking for them. But they're where long-term success is achieved. It's in those things. Um, Throughout these videos and the LightMinds program, I talk about riding a bike and learning to ride the bike. And you know, it might have been some time ago for you, but when you finally can ride without the stabilizers, you don't think about all the wobbly moments that came before. Those wobbly moments where you were learning to balance, and balance wasn't built straight away. It wasn't there, nor the confidence to ride. That they came about through small, countless adjustments, a feel for the bike. And then that feeling became natural. And weight loss is like that. But many people are waiting for a dramatic breakthrough. But that dramatic breakthrough comes, if it comes at all, because you don't need it, through a series of small shifts. And then one of in LightMinds we talk about the three principles, and key to one of those is consciousness. You become aware of things. You become aware that you're not trying as hard. You're not having to use willpower as much. You're beginning to understand things very differently. You see, if you think about this, lots of programs try that they focus on this idea of you being disciplined. But if you've ever tried to be disciplined permanently, you find it's impossible. That's not what works. Discipline is very important sometimes to initially create change, but it's not sustainable. We don't want to live our lives like that. We want to be free to do that. So what LightMinds is about is helping you to make decisions through allowing your mind to settle down and allowing your natural wisdom, your common sense, if you like, to shine through. And when that does, you'll make the right choices for when to eat and what to eat, when to stop eating. That's a really nice place to be. You don't want to be losing weight and regaining it because that can create a lack of trust over time. You don't want to be following strict rules all the time. You want to be able to trust yourself. And as your understanding of how your mind works, how your experience works, you'll begin to see things differently. You'll begin to see that why you were doing what you were doing was because of simple, small habits, temporary experiences made up of thought, misunderstandings, if you like. And gradually but surely, those misunderstandings will fall away. See, foundation isn't built on motivation. That's a myth. Motivation will come and go, just like willpower. Sustainable results, i.e., your foundation, sustainable results is built on the foundation of understanding. And understanding, when it's seen through insight, stays with you. You can't unsee it. See, LightMinds isn't about trying to be perfect. It's about just trying to see things more clearly, see things differently. And that won't happen overnight. It won't be dramatic, but it will unfold naturally. So you might be wondering at the moment, are you making progress? And think about it slightly differently. Try this. Am I thinking differently? Am I able to recover quicker? Do I spend less time worrying about food? Are you treating yourself with more kindness? Are you trusting yourself? Because these things are the foundation that will make a huge difference for you. You're building a healthy relationship with food by doing this, a healthy relationship with your body and your mind. Trust the process. Allow it to unfold. Just keep laying those foundations. And then you might be surprised how quickly the house is built and it takes care of itself. You don't have to do a huge amount. Thanks very much.